What's up, everybody? AG Sports. Probably making the last video for the week. Maybe we'll get another one in there. I can't stress enough, guys. Follow me on Twitter at AG_sports21. If there are any other picks that come up throughout the week, and there probably will be, honestly. There's probably going to be one, maybe two more that I find or get or whatever throughout the week that I really like. And I'll probably jump on that. But I most likely won't have time to make another video, and even if I do, the problem I've been running into these last few weeks, like I said, because the books start getting super sharp and moving the lines really super fast, is if I find something that I really like, or if I jump on something, odds are by the time I actually get to a computer, the lines have moved, and I'm not exaggerating. Some of these lines are moving like 2.5 points within an hour. Within 30 minutes even. So if I can't get to my computer and make a video and put everything out, odds are by the time I do it, the value's probably going to be gone. And not to say that those don't still win, but I don't want to give you plays that have bad numbers intrinsically, and especially because it does come back to bite you in the ass. I know, was it a week or two ago, we had the damn Patriots game that didn't go over, and the same thing with the Falcons game by like a point or whatever. So shit like that does happen, and it's very irritating. But on that note, I did go 2 for 2 this past week, so we did have the Saints come through for us on our second leg of the teaser, which was the under 45.5. Pretty easy tease. That one just didn't really need the tease, honestly. The line we had taken it at was 39.5. It ended at 23. So that one worked out for us great, pretty sweat free. The Packers, which was the first leg of that tease, definitely needed that tease. They won by 2, and I think the full out line was 7. So definitely worked for our favor there. So that gets us the win. And then with the Bengals Ravens game went well over, so we get that as well. So again, 2 for 2, really good week. 2 units up. And for the full year at this point, we're up about 13 units. Maybe not great. I know some people post out there that they're up like 50, 60 units or whatever. That's totally fine, and I believe it, and they track it and all that kind of stuff, and that's great. But honestly, guys, unless you have a really big bankroll to be playing with, a lot of times the stuff that they put out is not the best way to use your funds. A lot of these places that I follow and I've subscribed to and things like that, they're putting out, and again, like full honestly, no exaggeration, anywhere from like 20 to 30 to maybe even 40 plays a week. That's a lot. So a lot of these guys that are putting these out there and they're showing you these unit sizes of like, wow, we made, we're up 60 units, we're up 50 units or whatever on the year. Again, I believe it, and you can do that too, and you can follow those people, and you can pay for their subscriptions and all that kind of stuff. But just be prepared. Don't go in there thinking like, hey, I'm just gonna, I'll subscribe, I'll pay the $100 a month or whatever, and I'll be able to just kind of do my 2 or 3 bets, and I'm gonna make all this money, because that's not how they work. Usually they're gonna throw out like 30 games a week almost, and of those 30, they hopefully win like 18 to 20 of those. And so it's a really good percentage, and it's a really good win rate, and that's awesome. But if you are somebody who cannot afford to put 30 units down every week, and you're having to kind of pick and choose between the games that they're putting out there, if you happen to get some of those losers and mix them in with some of the winners, you're not making 50 to 60 units. You're probably breaking even at best. So again, keep all this stuff in mind. I'm not telling you to not go do it. I'm just kind of preparing you, because I know it's happened before. People see those numbers, they go out, they pay for it, and they're really shocked at like, damn, I did not have the bankroll to sustain this kind of betting. I don't have this appetite for betting. So that all being said, let's go ahead and get into the pick for this week, or for this new pick, and let's just make it easy. So it is going to be the Eagles. It's going to be the Eagles at Washington. We're going to take the Eagles -3. Like I did last time, I'm going to take you through the numbers, and then we're going to kind of do a little bit of a deep dive on what's going on and why I think there's some value in this. But before we even get to that, let me just show you some line movement here that we've already kind of had in our favor. So yesterday I did say that Raiders plus 8.5 had value on it. My numbers had the Colts at really about minus 5.5. So the minus 8.5 was a big number. It was like 3 points of value. So we had a lot of people jump on that Raiders, and actually got the Raiders down to plus 7 earlier in the day, and then we had some pushback to get up to 7.5. So pretty much what I thought was going to happen. I really do think that you're still going to get some more money coming in on the Raiders, because again, I have this really as the Colts like minus, at best, like minus 6. So I think you are still going to see some money on this one. Aside from that, we have the Buccaneers. On my bookie, this number has not really moved. So our tease is still kind of sitting where it was at when we first took it. The Bills have moved 0.5 point, so we did have a 0.5 point of value come our way in this one. But let me show you what Bookmaker has. With Bookmaker, this has moved 0.5 point. It's gone up to the minus 13.5, and usually Bookmaker is the earlier line. They are the faster line moving book. And so this is kind of like a pre-indicator of what we're probably going to see, barring anything crazy happening. And usually, for right now, that's mainly COVID-related or injuries that come off the practice report and all that kind of shit. So, again, most likely we're going to see the MyBookie line move up that 0.5 point as well. The Bills, again, on this one have already moved the 0.5 point. The Bookmaker line, though, does have the Eagles at minus 4. Where the MyBookie line is still at minus 3.5, so you are getting the 0.5 point of value. And I'm asking you, if you're going to follow this one, please buy that hook down. Buy it to the key number. If you have not been listening all year, if maybe you're just kind of new to gambling, or maybe you're just now getting into it, when you see the 3.5 or anything around a key number, I wouldn't buy through the key number. So you don't want to buy like 1 point and take it to minus 2.5. Just buy it to the key number. It's still they're gonna charge you some juice on this one. It's gonna be at minus 140, but that's because they are already getting a lot of money on this side here. I don't think it's gonna last too much longer. I think you're probably gonna see this move up to minus 4 sooner than later, or you're gonna start seeing some heavy juice come in on this. You're probably gonna get to like minus 120, and then the minus 3 is gonna be even heavier. So you want to get on this one sooner than later. The Chiefs, though. Again, another one that I had mentioned here. It was at minus 4.5 yesterday when we took it. It's at minus 5 already, and I believe it's the same on Bookmaker. Yeah, it's at minus 5 there as well. So again, another 0.5 point of value in our favor. So everything so far is moving in our direction. Again, it doesn't mean that you're going to win those games in particular. It just means that closing line value is a really good indicator, and it does mean that you are increasing the odds of winning every time you can get a little bit of line value. And again, if you're not, aware of this, or again, if you're just kind of newer to gambling, and maybe you're just jumping in here because you're getting ready for playoffs, or your fantasy wrapped up, or whatever, first of all, welcome. But secondly, make sure you're getting the best closing line value. If you are consistently getting closing line value, I can almost guarantee you that you will be a winning gambler. Maybe not every single time, but in the long run, you are going to be a winning gambler if you can consistently get closing line value. So that's where we're at right now. Those are the plays. As far as the Eagles, though, let's break that one down, because that's the new one for today. So as far as like the Madden algorithm and the DVOA algorithms and all that kind of stuff, quarterback, and again, Heineke is expected to be playing in this game. He is on their depth chart as active and ready to go. So that's who I have in here for now. But the Eagles with Jalen Hurts still have about a 3-point advantage over them. The DVOA is going to favor the Eagles as far as defense is concerned. And again, on defense, you want either a lower number or preferably really a negative number. Offensively, that is the opposite. Offensive, you want a higher number. Eagles are winning that one there as well. And the field position also goes to favor the Eagles. And this game is in Washington. I really don't know how much Washington's home field advantage is worth in most cases in the NFL. It's really worth very little, like a 0.5 point to a point. Some places, maybe we raise that to like a 1.5 points, and then the very rare exceptions, and usually it's weather related, we'll take it to 2. I was using 2 earlier in the year, but it was making the number just a little too inaccurate. And it was one of these things that I was able to shore up this year. At least so far, it's been working better with this 1 point advantage for the home field advantage. So that's kind of where all these numbers are coming from. And as of right now, these numbers have the Eagles at about a 5-point favorite. Now, keep in mind, again, the numbers have not updated from last week. DVOA does not update typically until Tuesday. The field position has, the rankings on the quarterbacks are really not going to change any, but the DVOA is. And the Eagles are probably going to be a little bit higher than where they're at right now, meaning they're going to have a little bit of a better score. Washington's probably going to have a much worse score because of the terrible play. But again, keep in mind, they had like their 4th, 5th string quarterback back there. So in some instances, it's really a plus or an advantage that we're using the numbers not taken into account last week, because the numbers are going to be so skewed for Washington. I can totally see the Eagles coming out as like an 8, 9, 10-point favorite after we update the DVOA scores, and that's not really it's not an accurate depiction of what we're going to get, because we're going to get healthy players back for Washington. Now, will they give a damn, because they're pretty much, they are essentially out of the playoffs at this point? Who knows? You can't handicap motivation, but assuming that they all play to their strengths and that they're playing to win, you're not going to, the line would not be like a 9 or 10-point favorite. That's just not accurate. So we're going to go with the numbers we have right now, saying that the Eagles should be about 5 to 5.5-point favorites. Now, that in and of itself gives us about 1.5 to 2 points of line value, and really what you're looking for this time of year is about 2 points. If you can find 2 points or more value, you jump on that line as soon as possible, because I guarantee you, if you don't, other people are, and that's going to move the lines before you get a chance to put any of your own money on down on that. So let's go ahead and keep going with this. As far as my grading prediction, so the grades, and this is really off of EDSR, like one-score wins, but the grades here actually have Washington as being just a slightly better team EDSR-wise, which is funny, but anyways, the numbers here show a reflection that I don't think we're going to get. Again, keep in mind, this is year-long numbers, so Washington was maybe outplaying the Eagles earlier in the year when Jalen Hurts wasn't looking so great. So take that in kind of as a grain of salt with this one. Either way, though, I think that we're going to see the deviation of these scores. And again, keep in mind, these predicted scores are within one standard deviation, which is about 7 to 8 points. I think you're going to see the Eagles kind of increase, or they're going to be above the predicted score within a deviation, and you're probably going to see the Eagles about where it's predicted, if not a little bit lower. So maybe like 21 or 17, somewhere around there. So if I had to predict this score, I'm probably taking Eagles like 28, Washington 20, somewhere in there, maybe 24, depending on how everything plays out. Obviously, we're still trying to predict chaos, right? So that's what we have here. EDSR, the Eagles have 53% EDSR. That's running and passing together, meaning that 53% of the time they are going to have a successful play, or a play that gains at least half the distance needed for first down. Washington only does that 47% of the time. Again, keep in mind that number has not been updated from last week, so this is prior to that shitty showing that they put against the Cowboys, where the Cowboys just like kicked their ass out the door, the first quarter, I guess. Aside from that, though, strength of schedule. So strength of schedule actually does go in favor of Washington. They have had the harder strength of schedule so far. It's kind of hard to keep playing to that, though, especially because the Eagles, while yeah, they've had the 8th easiest schedule, they have stepped up to some competition recently, and we can go over that as well. But this, again, is a full year look. Now, aside from the numbers we've gone over, taking a look at some of the efficiency stuff, so the Eagles have actually played, as far as the rush efficiency of their opponents, so how good are their opponents at running the ball against them, or really just running the ball in general. So the Eagles have had the 8th easiest strength of schedule, meaning they've played a lot of teams that really are not great at running the ball, where Washington has played the 18th easiest schedule, so they're about middle of the pack. They've played kind of average teams at that. Pass efficiency of opponents, they're both kind of middle of the pack, so not a big deal there. The rush DVOA, so how, where do they rank as far as stopping the run? Eagles are 15th, Washington is 11th. Again, not necessarily bad, but not great either. And same thing here. These are like full season long numbers, so they've kind of played up and down for a lot of the season. And the Eagles are kind of peaking right about now, and Washington is obviously going the other way. A lot of that was COVID related, but they are getting some of these players back, so we're looking at the full season here for the most part, or at least the last like 6 weeks is really where we want to narrow down. Aside from that, past D, DVOA, again, both of these teams really don't have great secondaries. Washington with the worst of the two, but Eagles aren't really much better. Rush percentage, so the Eagles are running 51% of the time. Washington's running 45% of the time. And the reason that we're going to kind of highlight that or bring that up is because the Eagles have an amazing rushing offense. Let's take a look at this real quick. The Eagles are third as far as being able to run the ball. So third in rushing DVOA offensively, and you're going to go up against a team who's played a bunch of like middle of the pack kind of guys and who are just kind of average at stopping the run themselves. Not a good sign as far as Washington is concerned. Philly, though, also 14th at passing the ball. So kind of an average team there, maybe just a little slightly above average. But Washington, again, towards the very bottom of the barrel as far as being able to stop that pass. So not a whole lot working there in their favor. Defensively, Washington, though, so as far as Washington's offense and the Eagles' defense, Washington's kind of, I guess, middle of the pack at best at pass and run. So not really anything that they can kind of like rely on to move the ball. And the Eagles should be playing really at about the level they've played all year, being that they're kind of middle of the pack for everything, and the Washington offense is, if anything, less than average. So not really anything to put there, again, no reason to go run and put some money on Washington. As far as running the ball, because I think that's what it's going to come down to for the Eagles, how efficiently can they run this ball? Miles Sanders is out with a broken hand, but he's not the only guy obviously running the ball back there. Aside from Jalen Hurts, Jordan Howard has had some really nice showings. Boston Scott has had some good showings. Kenneth Gainwell can catch the ball. They don't really use him to run between the tackles too much, but he can catch the ball and have a really good effect on third down plays and yards per carry. And this is all of the runners put together for the Eagles is really above average. Aside from this right guard spot, they can pretty much run behind any of their linemen or even, sweeps on the outside and get above average production. One thing I do want you to know is when they are running behind the center, they have a 4.6 yards per carry, and this is actually, so just in total, 4.6 yards per carry when they're running behind the center, and that's going to come into play in a second here because we'll see how Washington kind of defends that. If we look at directional frequency, we'll see that the Eagles also run to the left just a little bit more than they run to the right, but they run up the center predominantly. I mean, just like double anywhere else. So this center spot is really their sweet spot. That's what they want to attack. And as far as Washington is concerned, this is just when they're stopping the quarterback. So when they're trying to stop the quarterback, they really can't stop a damn thing. They have 14 yards that they're giving up and 17 yards if a quarterback takes off to the left, and about 6 yards if he's going up center and 6 yards if he's going up to the right, where Jalen Hurts should be able to really just feast on them altogether. But anywhere else or any of the running backs and kind of where they're running, they can kind of stop this stuff. On the behind guard, behind tackle, they are a little susceptible to sweeps. But when they're running up the center, meaning when the opponent is running directly behind the center against Washington, Washington is giving up 4.2 yards per carry on the season. So that's their weak spot, is when teams run behind the center. Eagles are loving running behind the center, and they do it early and often, and they're going to keep doing it. And I don't blame them. Their center's amazing. There's Kelsey. Anyways, they have every intention of running behind that center spot, and Washington is not going to be able to do a damn thing about it. There's just not really a whole lot of scheming or anything that they can do to prevent that. Aside from that, though, as far as directional frequencies, how much are they getting run on, and how many times have they given up explosive plays? If you see this this diagram as far as how many times people have had explosive plays on them against up the center or sweeps. So I do see a lot of big runs coming for the Eagles, whether it's Jalen Hurts or Jordan Howard or Boston Scott or just really anybody that they can get the ball to. Now, as far as when Washington has the ball, Tyler Heinicke, assuming that he's good to go, which again it seems like he is right now, his passing breakdown is really pretty stagnant. He likes to pass short. He's passing short right 36% of the time, which is huge because if anybody's trying to defend him, that's where they're going to try to defend. But he does have a 92 QBR when he's passing that direction, and really where he should be kind of focusing his attention is this middle of the field. And we've seen that a couple of times now, where the middle of the field is the best spot to attack for quarterbacks, just because a lot of times the linebackers are not great in coverage, especially with crossing, really quick receivers. But he just does not go there very often. He's going there 17% of the time. The one spot that I would try and target if I'm Washington, if I'm Ron Rivera, is I want to pass deep down to the left. It just seems like Tyler Heinicke is more comfortable passing in that direction. Maybe he doesn't do it very frequently. He's only doing it 8% of the time, but he's having great results when he decides to look that way. So this is just kind of a diagram, and you can maybe sit there, pause it, whatever you want to do to kind of look at where he's passing, how often, and how he's breaking this down. But and I'm going to tell you right now, I took the Eagles' defense just from the last 6 weeks, because we can take their defense from the whole season, and it's going to look kind of shitty, mainly because those first 4 or 5 weeks of the season, their defense, especially their secondary, was not looking too hot. But from weeks 10 through 16, this is what their defense has looked like so far. As far as passing is concerned, they have been able to stop just about everything. So this is the Philadelphia defense. The weeks were, again, 10 through 16. They gave up a 55 QBR short right. Again, this is Heinicke's bread and butter, going short right. They gave up a 65 QBR going short left. It's his second most frequently covered spot. And then they give up 122 when you're passing short middle, which again is where he should be targeting. So as far as the Eagles are concerned, the only spot that's really susceptible is this deep right spot. And I think this is really more so because nobody has targeted that direction against them, or very seldomly do they target that direction. And Washington really, as far as Heinicke is concerned, it only has a 33 quarterback rating when going that direction anyways, and he does go that direction 10% of the time. So it's possible maybe he connects with one of those, maybe even two, if he's just kind of taking advantage of this weak spot here in the defense. But I don't think that's going to be enough to keep up with this Eagles team, especially if the Eagles stick to the run game the way that they should and probably could and would and will most likely do. I don't think Washington's going to have the ball a whole hell of a lot in this one. And if they get themselves in some bad situations, if they're like second and long, third and long, I just don't see how they keep moving the sticks against this team, or how they keep Philly from scoring just over and over and over again and against them. So for all these reasons, Eagles -3 is where the value's at. Again, we're going to cap this one off at really like Eagles -5, so I do believe it's going to keep rising, and you're probably going to be looking at like Eagles -4, really I would say by like Wednesday, Thursday, and then depending on injury reports and news and COVID and stuff like that, we may see it continue to go up, we may see it to kind of shift a little. At some point, I think you are going to see some numbers maybe go back a little bit, because Washington's going to probably take some teaser money, but for right now, again, I'm trying to get that Eagles -3 and just buy the hook down. So hopefully this is informative. Hopefully you've learned something here, whether it's handicapping or you want to take the pick or whatever, or at least why I'm taking the Eagles -3. But thank you again, guys. Like I said, it's probably the last video for the week, but I appreciate the time, the support, everything here. And we will shortly be getting into the playoffs. And again, that time of year should be really good for us, at least the first week or two, when it's a little bit easier to handicap some of those games just because of matchup. So have a great day, have a good weekend, good luck, and Happy New Year.